Bom dia a todos. Vamos então dar seguimento ao webinar. Sejam bem-vindos. Obrigado a todos pela vossa presença. Vamos ter aqui então o nosso primeiro webinar em conjunto com a Corel. Antes de mais, obrigado à Corel e também à Suzanne, a especialista da Corel que nos vai ajudar aqui com o webinar e que vai fazer a apresentação. De certeza que será bastante útil, vos ensinará algumas coisas provavelmente que não sabem, algumas coisas novas. Vamos então aqui falar do Corel Graphic Suite da versão 2020. E a Suzanne vai fazer aqui um overview. Ela vai fazer o Q&A no fim. Caso tenham alguma pergunta durante a apresentação, por favor coloquem por chat. E no fim da apresentação da Suzanne, nós vamos abrir os microfones e poderão perguntar qualquer dúvida que tenham também à Suzanne. Mais uma vez, obrigado a todos. Suzanne, I will stop sharing the screen. Thank you for presenting the webinar. The show is yours.
Bom dia. Good morning. Hello, everybody. I'm just going to share my screen.
Just so you know, the attendees are all muted. So if nobody responds to you, don't find it weird. We'll unmute in the end for the Q&A.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Suzanne. I work for Corel, and I'm based in the UK. Today, we're going to look at CorelDraw Graphic Suite 2020. CorelDraw is a really powerful and easy to use graphic suite that's been on the market now for over 30 years. So it's available for Windows and Mac, and it's the perfect tool set for all of your graphic design, page layout, and photo editing requirements. As I said, it's for Windows and Mac, but there's also an online app called CorelDraw.app, which lets you share your designs with colleagues and customers, even if the customers don't use CorelDraw themselves. So with all the financial insecurity that many companies are going through at the moment with COVID, a lot of companies want software that's good value for money and doesn't require a monthly subscription. So at Corel, we believe that customers should have the choice. So although you can buy a subscription, there are also permanent license options. So you can buy commercial licenses, DVDs, downloads, and you've also got the option of having an automatic upgrade for your software. And it's important to know that even if you don't automatically upgrade, the permanent licenses mean that you can use the software for as long as you like. So what can you actually make with CorelDraw, or what is CorelDraw used for? As you can see, I'm working in CorelDraw at the moment, but I can also use CorelDraw as a sort of a slideshow like PowerPoint. So I'm just going into full screen mode. So as you can see here, these are some of the things that I've made on a daily basis using CorelDraw. So there are lots of printed materials, materials for the web, page layout, catalogs, mailing. So all of this can be done with the CorelDraw Graphic Suite. So what is the Graphic Suite comprised of? It's comprised of a set of programs. So we have here CorelDraw 2020 for vector layout, but also page layout. Now, a lot of companies, for example, Adobe or Affinity, they have separate programs for page layout and vector design. But with CorelDraw Graphic Suite, the page layout is built into CorelDraw, so you can do vector design and page layout within CorelDraw. There's also image editing software, which is Corel Photo Paint. We have a font manager. Now, if you're doing any type of graphic design, fonts are really important, but a lot of designers and a lot of companies, they have hundreds or thousands of fonts. And the Corel Font Manager will help you to sort these fonts and install and uninstall fonts and just make it easier to use fonts within your designs. Many companies receive artwork from their customers in the form of JPEGs or bitmaps, but to work better with the designs, it's better if these JPEGs are converted to vector graphics. Built into CorelDraw is Corel Powertrace, and Corel Powertrace allows you to convert bitmaps in seconds into vectors, and we'll have a look at that in a second. CorelDraw.app is our brand new online application, so I can upload a design from my desktop to the web, and I can share this with colleagues or customers, and they can go online, look at the design, add comments. So even if you're working from home, you can still collaborate with colleagues and customers using CorelDraw.app. Corel Capture lets you take a photo of the screen. And if you're working with professional photographers and you're doing a lot of work with raw images, there's also Corel Aftershot 3 for pre-processing your raw images. Now, in addition to all of the programs, there's also extra content. And this content is royalty-free, so you can use this for any of your artwork or projects that you're producing. So there are 7,000 clip arts and digital images, 1,000 photos, 1,000 fonts, and 150 templates. And there are different fields and patterns. If you have a corporate license, the IT department can install this for you on the network. If you're a private user working from home, on the welcome screen, you'll find an option here which will let you just go down and install stuff. There's a lot of free stuff to install, and once you've installed all of the free content, it will appear here in your library. So this is all the free content that comes with CorelDraw that I've now installed. Now, a lot of people are switching to CorelDraw, and one of the main reasons is that many companies now, for financial reasons, but also for security reasons, they don't want to use a subscription model. So if we just take a quick look here, if you are switching, for example, from Adobe to CorelDraw, if you go to the product help, you'll find a direct comparison here. And let's just take a quick look at this. So you go up to the help file, and this will take you through to a list of comparisons here. So as you'll see here, there's a lot of terminology. This is the terminology in Adobe. This is the terminology in CorelDraw. And here are a list of the tools. And you can see that more or less all of the tools that you have in Adobe Illustrator, you're going to find most of these here in CorelDraw, but perhaps with a different name. And you'll have something similar if you open up Corel Photo Paint, which is the photo editing program. You'll find a comparison between Corel Photo Paint and Adobe Photoshop. So we also have here a workspace that is very similar to the Adobe Illustrator workspace. A workspace is just the way that the tools and the menus and the palettes are set out. So under Window, Workspace, you've also got the option of choosing a user interface that is either similar to Illustrator, or especially for page layout, or especially for vector graphics. And finally, if you're coming from a program, for example, that looks different to CorelDraw, or if you're using keyboard shortcuts, you can personalize your CorelDraw. So let's just do this quickly. We'll go to Tools, Personalize. So perhaps, for example, you prefer working with a dark background. You can change the background. You can change the desktop color. You can also go to where your tool commands are, and you can just search for a command, and under here you have the option of adding your own keyboard shortcut. So if you're used to using tools with keyboard shortcuts, you just need to put the keyboard shortcut in here and it will work exactly the same as you're used to working in your other program. So I'm just going to cancel out here because I think a light background is better for a webinar. So let's just go out of here. So now one problem that a lot of people have is they think, if I'm going to be moving from one program to another, is this going to be difficult? Now, pardon, in CorelDraw, you have a lot of tools to help you learn the program. So if we just take a look at these here. Pardon. Built into CorelDraw itself is a hint stocker. And whenever I choose a tool, and this was working this morning, I think it might be to do with showing the zoom. Let's just go out and go back in again. See if this will start now. I do apologize if it takes a little bit because I'm not quite used to working with the Portuguese version of Draw. But in any case, if you are testing CorelDraw, this window opens by default and you'll find videos and tutorials on using the different tools. So that is one option. The other option you'll find here on the welcome screen is for looking at tutorials. You can contact technical support if you need it. You'll find the user manual, and you'll find a list of all the shortcuts that are being used. And you've also got the product help here. Pardon. So how do you start with CorelDraw? If you're not used to using a graphics program, sometimes it's hard to know where to begin. Now, in CorelDraw, you can start a new design yourself, but there are also professionally designed templates that you can use. So if you go up to New Design from Template, you'll have here a list of all the different templates that you have here. So for example, if I go to all categories, just wait for this to swap. And you have here different categories. So I could, for example, say letters. And then I've got a slider bar here to look at all the templates. And once you open up a template, you can just go in and add your own text or your own images. We have calendars, business cards, brochures. So you can just go into here and add brochures. And you also have the option of saving a design as a template. And if you save a design, you'll find it here under My Templates. And again, I can just go into here and just have a look at my own templates. So this way, you don't have to keep creating designs. You can just save your designs as templates and use them anytime you like. And you would just open it from here. Or you can save as a template here. Now, CorelDraw supports over 100 industry standard file formats. So you can basically open almost any format and bring that into CorelDraw. You do this by either opening a design, and here you can see the formats that are supported when you open a file. And then you have file formats that you can import into an empty document. So you would just go to Import. And again, you've got different formats here that support being imported into an empty document. So you've got a lot of import and export formats there. If you're working with customers that have older versions of CorelDraw, you can go Save As, and this will let you save back as far as CorelDraw 11. So you can save back, I think it's about 10 or 12 versions. And of course, you can also open up these older versions. So different customers, different CorelDraw customers have different workflows. So perhaps your workflow is that you want to create logos or you want to create stationery. Now I have here a bitmap. Let's just zoom in. And you can see here that this bitmap, this JPEG, isn't very good quality. So I have a lot of JPEG artifacts or noise here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn this JPEG into a vector graphic. And I do that here. So I can either do an instant conversion, or I could say, for example, if I want more control, let's convert this into a logo. So I'm just going to open up, and this is Powertrace. This is built into CorelDraw. So let's just make this a little bit larger. So as you can see here, it's already removed the background, but I have some more colors here that I also want to remove, these areas here that are striped. So I'm actually going to choose to specify the colors. So I'm just going to choose this, choose my eyedropper, and holding down the Shift key, I'm just going to remove all of the colors that I don't need. Now, to get a better result, I can go to Adjust and say, remove the JPEG artifacts. And I also want this logo to be converted as an illustration. Now, because this was a JPEG, this is actually an RGB image. But if I go to colors, I can change the color model. So if I don't want RGB, I could change this to CMYK, or I can change this to any other palette, including spot colors. So if I go down here, I've got all my processed palettes, I've got my spot palettes. So before I even convert this, I can choose the right color palette. So if you're doing screen printing or for the web, you can always choose the correct color palette here. So I just see I've missed some color here. But before I do that, I'm just going to take these two colors, which are very similar, and I'm just going to merge these into one. So now I'm down to 3 colors. And I can also go into here and change any of the colors. Okay, let's just go back. Oh, I'll leave that as it is, I think. Let's just say OK. So now I have my vector graphic and I have my JPEG. So this was the JPEG, the low quality image. And this is now our vector graphic, and it's perfect. Now, when you convert an image to a vector, it comes in as a group of objects. But I can always go here and just ungroup the objects. And once I ungroup them, I can start changing them. So I can change the size, the position. So I can just go in here and change that. So that's just converting images to bitmaps to vectors. Now, if I'm doing a project, you can see here I have a letter, I have a business card, I have an envelope, I have a poster. Now, if you look here, you can see that my document today is 25 pages. Now, every CorelDraw document can have up to 999 pages. So if I create a new document, I can decide how many pages and I can say up to 999. So in this case, let's just say 4 pages. I can choose my color model, so Cmyk or RGB, and let's just say OK. Now, another great thing about CorelDraw is that I can have a multi-page document where each page has a different size. So this page, for example, is A4, and let's just call this letter. Then I'm going to add a page, but I want all of my pages to have different sizes. So this page is going to be my business card. And I'm just going to choose business card from here. And let's add another one, and let's call this poster. And let's choose A3. So within one single CorelDraw document, I can create a whole project with pages of different sizes. I don't need multiple artboards. I don't need multiple documents. I can do this all within the one document, which is a big time saver. So now sometimes you would like to create a logo from text, or you might want to combine text with images. So there's a great feature in CorelDraw called Power Clip. So I'm just going to drag this image with my right mouse button and say Power Clip inside. And let's just edit this. And let's just place this perhaps a little bit better. Okay, let's say finish. And perhaps add a shadow. Perhaps something like this, just change the color. So you can see it's really easy to work with text, work with images, add shadows, and get some really interesting artwork going there. So we have another example here. Perhaps a customer has sent you artwork that you need to change. So this is vector. This is bitmap. If I go into here, you can see this is bitmap. So again, I can also just go into here and just do an instant conversion. So it's taken about 3 seconds, and now we've got our vector graphic here. Okay. It's very easy to change things. Now, this vector is made up of lots of different individual objects. The easiest way to change an object is by going to Search and Replace. So if I want to change my green objects, I just select one. I say Use the selection. I say Find All. And I can just go in here and quickly change everything within about a second. I can also reset this, and I can create a search. So if I'm looking for something specific, I could say, for example, I'm looking for a uniform color. Then I can choose a color. For example, I can choose something like this. I could do outline, so I can just go through this whole list looking for specific features that I want to search for, and then it will search for me. If I need to search for these things often, for example, some people need to change the line thickness. If you're doing engraving, gravure, you might need to change the line thickness, so you can look for lines with a specific weight. So we've got here. So I can look for different line weights and I can then save this. This makes it very easy to search for objects with the wrong line weight and just simply change them. If you're creating an object, you can, of course, go over here to change the color or change the size or change anything here. But a quicker way to change the properties is by using the Properties panel. So here I can change the outline and the outline style. And I can change the outline width. And I can change the fill. So any properties an object can have, you can change here in the Properties panel. If I'm selecting text, I can change the text properties. Or if it's paragraph text, I can change the text properties here. So if you're not sure where to find a certain tool or a property, just use the Property panel and you'll find everything that you need here. Now, CorelDraw is used a lot for creating marketing materials. So let's have a look at some of these. Now, if you're doing advertising, you're going to be working with images, but you might also be working with groups of objects. So for creating a mock-up, a very good tool for creating a mock-up is the envelope tool. So let's just open up the envelope tool. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to select an object and I'm going to point to an envelope. And here is a shape that I created earlier. And you can see my object takes on the shape of my envelope. Now this can be vector or it can be a bitmap. So now I can delete my envelope and just pop this over here. And let's just do this again. So select my object. This is now vector. This was a bitmap. This is vector. Choose my envelope. Now I can remove the envelope and just move this down here. Now the great thing about envelopes is that with the form tool, you can just go in here and you can just keep changing that envelope. So you've still got a lot of editing options after you've created your envelope. So that is one way of creating a mock-up. Now what I have here is a JPEG. Let's just zoom in here. And I want to bring this JPEG into perspective. So I'm going to go up to Objects. I'm going to add perspective. And what I'm going to do now is just fit this over here. And just fit that there. What we have down here is not an image. If I go to my Objects panel, you can see that this is made up of text, a vector object, and an image, and these are grouped together. But even with grouped objects, you can still apply a perspective. So I'm just going to go into here. Just quickly apply a perspective. So you can really create some very quick marketing materials using the envelope tool and the perspective tool. Now, some people don't create graphics for printing. They create graphics for the web. And when you're working for the web, you have to work differently. You're working in an RGB color space, and you're not working with millimeters, you're working with pixels. So the first thing we're going to do is you would, when you start a document for the web, you would basically start off by choosing RGB. You would change your measurements to pixels. And once you change the dimensions to pixels, you have a lot of web templates you can use. So if you're doing web banners or something like that, you've got all these different templates to work with here, okay? So we'll just pretend that this is for the web. And also, when you start an RGB document, the color palette you see here is not CMYK, it's an RGB color palette. So we're going to go with pixels. We're going to change our view to pixels. And we're going to align our objects to pixels. Now, when you work with graphics, these are all vector graphics, but if we zoom in now, we're going to be viewing everything as pixels. Now, a mistake that is commonly made is when people create graphics for the web, but they're not lining the graphics up to pixels. So you can see here, if I export this to the web, this is going to be a bit blurry. It's not going to be sharp. But luckily, I've got a feature that says, align the objects to the pixel. And now all of our objects are perfectly aligned to the pixel. Let's go here as well. So I'm just going to select this and say, align to pixel. Now, when I export my artwork, it's going to be really crisp, really sharp. To export for the web, you can either go export for the web, or if your website is a WordPress site, you can choose export for WordPress, and it will optimize this for you. And it will also allow you to upload directly. So all you need to do is pop in your WordPress login, and CorelDraw will remember this. And when you go to export it, it will automatically export it or upload it to your WordPress site. Okay. So I'm just going to go back to our normal view. So another thing that CorelDraw is used for a lot is creating marketing materials. So we've got just some examples here. I've got an image, and this is going to be something for a restaurant. So I've got some text. I've got some logos here that were sent to me as JPEGs, but which I basically converted into vector graphics. So let's get started. So first of all, I'm going to take this image, and I'm going to place it on the center of the page using P. Okay, and let's just pop all of these over to the side for the moment. Just pop these over here, because I now want to add a transparency here. So I'm going over to my transparency tool, and I'm just going to drag this out. And you can adjust the transparency either by using the end nodes or by the slider bar. So I think I'm going to use it like this. So let's just pop this over here. I'm now going to create a couple of circles. Let's just create a circle here. And using my eyedropper tool, I'm just going to pick up that color. And let's just add another circle. So plus on the keyboard. Let's just drag this out. And this circle here, going back to my keyboard. So, and these two, I'm just going to remove the outline. Now, to fill an object, you click with the left mouse, and to remove the color, you click here with the left mouse, and the outline color is a right mouse click. So I'm going to click right and remove the outline. So I think this one needs to be slightly bigger. And let's just put our logo here. Now this logo is underneath the circles, but if I go to my objects, I can just grab this and just move this to the top. It's a little bit bigger. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to center everything by pressing C and E. So this is now centered. So all I need to do now, I can get rid of these now, is just to add my other elements. Perhaps something like this. And of course, if I need to change the font at all, I've got my font drop-down list, but we'll be looking at fonts a little later on. Let's just make this a little bit larger. And then I can just add some text down here. So again, once you've got all your elements together, it just takes literally a couple of minutes to get your design up and running. Let's just make this on the left. So now we're going to look at working with text. If you're doing design, the three most important things are your vector designs, your colors, and your fonts. Now, we had a look at the envelope tool a second ago. You can also use the envelope tool on text. So if I take this piece of text here, I just created a shape here using one of the drawing tools. So you've got different drawing tools here. This was the polyline tool that I created with this with. So I'm just going to fit my text into this shape. Okay, so now I've got some text here. But again, using my form tool, I can go in here at any time, and using the form tool, I can just reshape this. Now, there are two main types of fonts that we work with. The first is open type, and the other is true type fonts. Now, if I select this type here, and I go back to my properties, and I'm looking for my text properties, this is my open type engine. Because when you buy an open type font, the font has a lot of alternative style sets. So this font, which is called Gabriola, has lots of different types built into it that I can access. I can also access them by selecting my font and clicking here. And this is going to show me all of the other typefaces that are built into the Gabriola font. So let's just choose this one. And what this means is that if you do have open type fonts, you can now check to see if there are alternative style sets built into your font. So you're getting more value out of your individual fonts. Now, another thing we have over here, if we're looking at fonts, is we have the font sampler and we have glyphs. So let's look at the font sampler. Sometimes if you're creating some artwork, it's hard to know which font is the best font to use in a project. So let's just click here. Let's select this and let's say So I'm just adding some text here. And now I can change the fonts. This top font is Arial, but I could, for example, change that to Gabriola. Let's have a different font here. And we'll leave that as this is. So all I need to do now is just drag these fonts into my design. Now, if this font is also an open type font and I select it, again, I've got the options here. Let's choose this one, looks nice. Let's choose this one. And just drag this down. So you've got a very simple option here for trying out different types of text. We don't really want this one. Let's try this. So here we've got small caps. So again, it's very easy to quickly try out different fonts without having to go up to the font list each time. Now, if you're working in different languages, you have here the glyph panel. Now, the glyph panel will show you every single character of a font, but that's a lot of characters. So you can actually drill down and say, I don't want to see the whole font. I just want to see the Latin letters, or I just want to see symbols. And it will then just close this down for you and let you find certain letters and certain symbols. And once you've selected one of these, you can copy this and paste it into your document. Now, when you use a glyph here, it will appear at the top. So the glyphs that you use the most will be up here for you to use at any time. Okay. So there are three types of text that you can create with CorelDraw. You can create artistic text. So if I just type here, that's artistic text, and I can add transparency and shadow and colors. I can also drag out a box to create paragraph text. So this is where I create my paragraph text, and I can create text on a path. So if I move my cursor next to a shape, I can type along that path. And I can just move this around the path. Okay. You can also do it like this. You can select your text and you can say text, fit text to path. And again, you can go over here and just add your text. And I'm just going to mirror this and mirror this. And again, I can continue dragging here. So it's very easy to add text to a path. And we've just seen how CorelDraw supports open type text. It also supports variable text. So if I select this and I choose a variable font, now let's just clear my filters and let's choose a variable font. So let's, for example, choose Decovar. Now, with variable fonts, you don't just have bold, italic, underscore. You have the option to change all of these settings. So I can change the weight. I can change the end of it. Let's do this a little bit more. I can do something on the inside. So I can go through here and add all sorts of effects to my text, some better than others. I can go through here. Let's choose a different one. Let's choose figurare variable. Let's go through here, and this text only has width and it has weight. So the variable text lets you do a lot of customization to the fonts you're using so that it really fits well into your design. And the last thing we're going to look at here under text, I'm just keeping an eye on the time, is the Corel Font Manager. So the Corel Font Manager is going to let you sort your fonts and gather them into collections. And the great thing about the Font Manager is, or CorelDraw is, a font does not have to be installed to be used in CorelDraw. So if you look here, everything that is green has been installed. So if I want to, I can uninstall it. Anything that's yellow can be installed. And what we're seeing here are all of my fonts. Okay. If I want some more information about the font, I can click here, and that will show me the properties of the font. So here I can see, let me have a quick look. So perhaps someone can help me here. My Portuguese is just not good enough. There's an option to show if you can embed a font. This is really important. What is this? Directos integrados?
It's below is duplicate, below is edit, install without integration, to visualize impression.
Yeah. So over here, you should be able to see, let me choose a different one. So here, for example, sometimes people say, I've used a font, but when I send it to somebody, they can't print it out or they don't have the font. Why is that? That is because some font manufacturers allow you to integrate a font, but others don't allow you to integrate a font. So when you're using fonts, you can see here exactly if you'll be able to embed that font or just view that font. It will let you know which permissions you have. And these are not CorelDraw permissions, they're permissions from the font manufacturer. So there's important information here about fonts. You can also see if a font that you're using has the characters you need. And here you can actually see which languages are supported here. So Central European and Greek, but no Asian fonts. So here you've got very important font information. But the great thing about the Font Manager is you can either incorporate folders on your machine or in your network that have fonts that you've collected. So you can add a folder. It will just ask you to give that a name. Okay, we'll call that test. This is a collection here. And this folder is empty, this test folder. So the other ones have fonts in them. So what I want to do is I want to put tests, I want to put some fonts in here. So let's just imagine I want fonts for creating wedding invitations. So let's just have a look let's just rename this. Let's just create a new one. Let's say casamento. So in here I can add some filters. I can look for fonts that are installed or not installed. I can look for fonts that allow me to edit them. I can look for open type fonts. I want regular fonts, normal fonts, and I'm looking for scripts. So I've added some filters here. So when I go back to my fonts, it's only going to show me the fonts. Let's just turn this off again. It's only going to show me the fonts that apply to this filter. So I could say, let's have this one, and this one, and this one. Let's just go down here, and this one. Okay. So I can now close the Font Manager and go back to CorelDraw. And if I now choose some text and I go to my text list, these are my filters. So I can go down here, say, take out the filters, and I'm just going to look for my wedding fonts. And I don't know if you can see that here. Let's just move this across. As I hover over the fonts, I can see these changing on the screen. So by setting up collections, it's really easy to find the correct font for the correct job. Now, CorelDraw works with layers. We have a panel here, objects, and you can see here that my document here, I've built this into layers. You can add a new layer by clicking here, or you can add a master layer by clicking there. So let's just take some objects here. So I'm just going to put this on my red layer. I'm going to put this on my blue layer and this on my green layer. Now, why do I work with layers? If you have a very complex design, it makes it much easier to work with, for example, if you turn off the visibility of layers. So as I turn off my red layer, everything on this layer just disappears from view. I can also lock a layer. So if I lock my blue layer, I can move these, but this one is my text here. But this one is locked down. Let's just unlock this. And now I can move it again. So it makes sense to work with layers because it makes it much easier to work with a complex document. Now, if we go over here, we can see I've got an object here that's made up of groups of objects. Now, another great thing about the object layer is that if I change something, let's just make these objects a little bit bigger. I've got a slider bar here. If I change anything, it changes as well in the object docker, so I can really easily find something I'm looking for by using this object docker. I can also search here, so if I go up to here and I type in the name of a layer, it's going to find that layer or that object for me. Okay, so that is basically working with layers. So you can go in at any time quickly, and it makes good sense if you do work with layers just to go in here and just to say rename it. And if you work with layers and you name your layers, it makes working with CorelDraw so much easier. So now we're going to be looking at working with color. Now you can see here we have here a palette, and at the bottom we also have a palette. The palette at the bottom is called the document palette, and the document palette creates every color you use while you're working with a CorelDraw document. And this palette is also saved with the document. So let's just imagine I create a design for tech data. Let's say I create some tech data posters. All of the colors that I use are collected here, but I can also go and save this under another name. So I could save this as a tech data palette, so that next time I have to do some work for tech data, all I need to do is open this palette and all of the colors are waiting for me. Now over here I have a Cmyk palette, but let's just open up our palette manager, which is here. And this is where we add any palettes that we want to see. So we've got all of the standard industry palettes. We've also got, if you're using a Roland printer, we have the Roland system, we have VersaWorks in here, and any palettes that you create yourself, you'll find here under My Palette. So here are just a couple of palettes that I created. So you can open and shut your palettes using the palette manager. You can also create palettes by just either creating a new palette from scratch by just adding colors, or for example, here I've got a nice image and I want my artwork to fit with this image. So I'm going to create a palette from the selected object. And let's call this Dean's poster. Let's just save this. And now it's going to ask me how many colors do I want? Let's say 20 colors. And now I've got this new palette that's showing me all the colors that match well with my image. So if I create any artwork, I can just go in here and match my artwork up with the images that I'm using within that artwork. Now, I'm opening up something here called color styles. Now, let's say you're doing some work for a customer and you want to offer him different color combinations. Now, what I have here is a grouped object. Let's just take this whole group and bring this to my color styles window. So CorelDraw asked me, how many groups of colors would you like? And I'm going to say 4 colors, 4 color groups. So, and once I'm here, of course, I can just go and just change this around however I like. I'm just putting some colors down here. So I've now created groups of colors. And let's first of all take the blue color. So I've selected the blue group and I'm just going to move this through the color wheel and the colors change immediately. Let's choose the red colors. Let's go through here, perhaps green. So down here I can change the color saturation. I can make it darker or lighter. And I can just go through and quickly change any groups of colors that I want to here and just offer the customer different color variations. Now I can also do this in a different way. Let's go back here. So I'm just going to grab any color. Now this color is a color that's not associated with my design, but I could say create a new gradient. So lighter colors, darker colors, a mix. Let's choose a mix. And let's just bring these colors over here. And it's the same thing. I can just go through here. Let's just take this around. Whoop. I can just go around and instantly change the colors. Or I could say add a complementary color. And then it will add a complementary color in here. And I can choose any of these colors. And just change those separately. So you've got a lot of power here. Now, very important, we want the colors we see on our screen to match the colors that come from the printer. So to do this, you need to set up color management. So we go up to Tools, and we're going to Color Management. So these are the general settings. So you can go here and set up your color profiles. And if you want to change the color management for just one document, you can set it up for just this document. And these settings, these profiles are saved with the document. Now, another window that we have that I'd like to show you is color proofing. And this is where we test that our colors are accurate. So let's just turn this on. Let's go down here. So let's imagine that we are not using this profile. Let's imagine we're using newspaper. You can see immediately how the colors change. So if we print our design on newspaper, this is what the colors will look like. So this will give you a simulation of your output. Okay. You can also export this if you want to send it to a customer. So the color management and the color proofing are very important if you want accurate output. So let's have a look at some of the tools. Now, there are a lot of shapes here that you can use for drawing here. So you've got rectangular, you've got circular, you also have polygon tools. If you choose a polygon, for example, you can choose how many sides you want to draw. And if you reshape the polygon, it will reshape from all sizes, all sides. You've got stars, you've also got common shapes. So up here you've got basic forms, you've got different arrow forms, flowchart forms, banners. So you've got something here to be drawing with. We've also got a set of drawing tools here. So lines, Bezier, pens, polylines and curves. We have artistic media. Artistic media comes in preset shapes like this. Like this. Or you have brushes. So you've got whole sets of different types of brushes here that you can choose from. So different types of brushes. Spray cans. And you've also got something here that will let you use a graphic tablet. So if, for example, you have a Wacom tablet, you can use that to create shapes. And in here as well, you have, if I can find it, artistic media. So if I just select something and choose artistic media, it applies that pen to the shape. So if we go down here, so again, you can use artistic media to apply to shapes. You can also save anything on your page as a brush or a spray can. So you can create your own brushes and your own spray cans. Let's just go back here. I think it's easier to do another circle. Let's just delete that and do another circle here. Now also, if you're using a Wacom tablet, that's here, you've also got two intelligent tools here. One is called, I think it's called Intelligent, I can't remember the name now in English, sorry. You can see the name here in Portuguese. And this will allow you to quickly do a sketch using a pen. So if I just sketch something, it's just going to automatically convert that to a shape for me, which is really handy. Okay, so that's the first tool. Let's just get rid of some of these here. And then we have something called Live Sketch. which again is going to let you, turn this on here, it's going to let you just really sketch naturally while using a pen. And this is really a great tool if you're actually a graphic designer and you work more artistically than, say, for doing marketing or print materials. You can do some really natural. Now, you've also got the option here of creating a symmetry drawing. So if I just click on the page and say create a symmetry, again, I can use any of my drawing tools. Let's go back here and just choose one of these. And let's just turn on the view here. And I can just draw any kind of symmetry that I want to draw. Let's just delete these again. Or you can take an object and you can create a symmetry from the object. So let's say create a symmetry from the object. Let's just move this across. And let's add 2 axes or 3. So I can just go through creating symmetric designs. And finally, let's have a look at these here. And let's open up another window. And this is called Fitting Objects to a Curve. So I've got some objects here. I can select one or more objects. I can hold down the Shift key and select a curve. And now I can choose how many objects I want to add, in which order I want to add them. I want these to be added along the bottom of the object, and I'm just going to say add. And now it's just added these objects along that path for me. So you can do that as well. Let's just quickly create a couple of shapes here. So as soon as you select 2 or more shapes, you have some objects here. You can weld them together. You can cut them out. You can do an overlap. So you've got all your shaping tools once you select your objects. Or, of course, you can also use...
Suzanne, not to worry you, but we are a little bit short on time now.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Let me just have a very quick look.
Okay.
What else I can show you? I'm going to start at the back because I want to show you the most important tool first, and then just tell me when to stop, and then we'll stop. Let's go through to the back.
Okay. I will say finish these, and then we go to the Q&A.
Okay. If you want, I can record what we missed, and I can send you that, and you can add that to your recording. If you want, I can just record the rest and send you that as a movie. And then you can send that as well, so that anyone wants to see the rest, they can see it. So,
thank you, Suzanne.
So very important here is the comment window. Because a lot of people are working at home, so you need to share work with colleagues and also with customers, and perhaps the customers don't have CorelDraw. So as you can see here, we've got a comment window. So you can just sign into that. So I'm just going to sign in here. Oops. So you just sign in, and I can already see that another of my colleagues has added some comments here. And as soon as I select one of these objects, I can actually see what this comment is. Change the font or change the images. But the great thing is I can now upload this to the cloud. So I can upload it and share it with other people. So that we don't have to wait for this to upload, I've already uploaded this morning. And also under File, you can actually save files to the cloud, or you can open files from the cloud. Okay, so let's just swap over. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Oops, no. Right, so this has now been uploaded to the cloud. So once you upload this to the cloud, you can share it with people. So if I share this link, I can copy this link and share it with a lot of people, and these people can either just view it or revise it or approve it. And once I send this link to people, they get an invitation to go online and add comments or make changes. Or I can use this here. I can add people. So I can add people here, and I can add multiple people with different levels of permission. And then I can add those. And once they've been added, they can just go into here and they can either say this has been solved, or they can add their own comments, or they can change something. And once something's been changed, everybody with the email gets a message saying something has been changed. They can go online and they can see what the changes are that have been made, or they can approve it. You also have the option here to create drawings online. So you can create a new design, and you've got various design tools here and property tools, so you can actually use this as an online design tool. Pardon me. So thank you very much. I'm so sorry, pardon me, that we ran out of time, but I will record the things that we missed today, and I'll send that to Ricardo, and he'll make this available to you as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Suzanne, for your presentation. It was great. We will now open the mics to see if anyone has any doubts. Bem, quem quiser colocar as suas dúvidas à Suzanne, pode agora colocar. Se for preciso, nós traduzimos. Estão em mute. Se quiserem falar, têm que tirar o mute. Bem, parece que não há questões. Suzanne, it seems that there is no questions. Maybe it's because we are almost in the limit time.
Please do send any questions that come up after the session.
Ok, Sérgio, está a dizer que o seu microfone. Sérgio, se tiveres alguma dúvida, se não consegues falar pelo micro, podes escrever que nós passamos à Suzanne. Bem, não havendo então nenhuma questão sobre... ok. Sim, nós vamos enviar, Sérgio. Então, não havendo nenhuma questão sobre o produto, vamos então encerrar a apresentação. Obrigado, Sérgio, pelo feedback. Suzanne, thank you